So this week we get reminded of issues that we seems to have over and over again. Mordecai mentioned that we have this generational problem, and I want to try to emphasize this every week um, is we have to put ourselves in this situation. So there's a lot of times we want to remove ourselves. We want to judge our brothers, our holy brothers and sisters during this time and say, well, I would have done it this way, and you'd have been, I would have never questioned.
Mm-hmm.
But we can apply this to our lives. I'm talking about the uh, complaining. Okay, so the first time we complained, it seems to be a pattern of us, uh, from the beginning when we left, right after we left Egypt, we complained that it wasn't as good as we had it in Egypt, even though we were, getting whipped with whips, and we didn't have everything handed to us, right? So we complained with the first trial of water, and uh, we didn't have any water, so Hashem didn't get upset at us because we were dying of thirst, so He provided us water. And so we have two similar things back to back again. So this is almost to the point where we're about to go into the land. And it seems like, for all intents and purposes, the structure of the nation is falling apart. Um, we had just had the authority structure completely decimated with the trial of Korah. So imagine one day you get up and a big portion of the government is no longer in effect. Now, I know that people will be, yay, that's great. But who's gonna do the roads? Who's gonna do things that matter? So a lot of people had to take up the slack, right? And thankfully, we had the 70 elders that Hashem gave us. That's described in Deuteronomy later, right? So that was the first thing that happened, and then right after, we went to a very arid place, and the prophetess who was over over the merit of the rock. Now, this is one of the midrashim that seem to be like is just point of fact. Like they're like there's no debate about it. So I tend to think that there was this rock that Miriam had kind of I wouldn't say power over, but she basically presided over it, and it flowed on her merit. And when she died, the water stopped flowing, and people immediately were like, "Oh, what are we going to do? We're going to die of thirst." Well, they didn't dig wells, they didn't look for water. They just were like, "Well, there's no water coming out of the rock, so what do we do?" And so they were complaining. Now, Hashem doesn't get upset at them. Hashem has said, okay, well, these are people that they're without the power structure. They expected Miriam to provide the water for them out of this rock. And Hashem comes to Moshe and says, look, I want you to demonstrate to them that it's not about force. It's not about, I want you to speak to the rock. So Moshe, he's a person too. He had emotions. And so he came, and these people are complaining and they're grumbling. Now, remember, Hashem is not saying He's going to destroy them. He understands that people cannot live without water. And Moshe, in his anger, strikes out. He's like, "Look, you rebels," which some commentaries says that he's actually speaking against Miriam, because one of the ways that you can interpret Miriam is rebel, right? So he's like, "Look, why'd you die, Miriam?" So he's like, "You rebels, how dare you, Miriam?" And he strikes the rock twice. And Hashem is like, "Look, I can't have you lead the people as angry as you are." Uh, you know, this is also kind of put in the the Torah. There's a story of Yephunah, Jephthah. It doesn't continue the story. So Yephunah says, whatever comes and meets me when I come back after I destroy the Amorites, whoever was there, then I will do as a sacrifice. And the story goes that it was his daughter that met him, right? And a lot of our enemies will see Hashem, does human sacrifice. So Hashem never condoned what he did. Our commentators say that Yefunah's daughter was actually made to be. She wasn't given in marriage, so basically, for all intents and purposes, Yefunah's line ended. So she might as well, according to the culture, been burned up because she had no heirs. Okay, so we have to be careful about being rash with our mouths and with our decisions. Say, for instance, somebody gets upset and they have, something in their hand, and they're like, and they throw it over their shoulder and it hits somebody. You can be sorry all day long. Okay, say like it hurts somebody, really, it cuts their head or whatever. You can be sorry all day long, but it doesn't change the fact that this person is hurt, right? So now you got to go and you've got to make up for what you did, just in a fit of anger or in a fit of passion, right? You're like, oh yes, I'm going to do some great thing for God, and I'm going to change the world, and I'm going to do this, and this. Thankfully, women, married women and daughters, thankfully, you have the covering of your father, where you can be covered by your rash things that men don't. Men over the age of 20, you say something, Hashem expects you to do it, right? This goes on to the second thing. Now, the second trial we had was right after we went through we now had water, and then right after this, the power structure of the priest was removed. So the main person in the camp that was over making sure that people were okay with each other, the peacemaker, right? Aaron was basically removed as the leader in front of the people. Can you imagine just the feeling, for Aaron, how he felt? He got a message one day from Hashem. Okay, today's the day that you die. Remove all the vestments in front of everyone and give it to your sons. Imagine your children and the way they're thinking. Oh goodness, now I'm going to take on the role, and they had to make sure that they mourned, at the appropriate time. And he had to make the journey up to the mountain. We don't know what happened on top of the mountain. I haven't looked into the midrash of how our sages say that might have went, but it's a very sobering thing. So you're seeing your entire power structure being dismantled. So you don't know. I mean, we didn't know what was going on, what was going to happen the next day. Plus, as Mordecai said, we were being attacked on every side, and so we were like, look, we don't have anything to eat. We're tired of this bread that you give us. We're tired of this water that you provide for us every day. We're bored. We're being attacked, and we complain. This happens to us. It seems that when something goes bad, it seems to go in waves. It's like Hashem doesn't, or maybe the Yetzer Hara, the story of Job, where he's like, Job is only praising you because you give him the good stuff, right? And so Hashem removes the good stuff, and he sees what's left, right? So it seems like things happen to us all at once, right? This week we had several things. Baruch Hashem, we went through the hurricane went right over us, and we had an opportunity to complain because we were without power for a day, and how how removed we are in pampered in there's people all over the world that live without power, electricity, internet, and the minute our electricity or air condition gets removed, we could have easily like went out into the car and turned on the car and been been fine. But there's people all over the city, right, and in the greater Houston area that still don't have power, right? So it was what I'm saying. I'm not trying to push us up or whatever. What I'm saying, it was a learning opportunity, and then there was other things that happened in our life to say, look, you got it good because um, our God is the God of everyone. Right? He's the God of the Germans. He's the God of the Italians. He is the God of everybody. Now he chose us, and he's the God of the Chinese and the Russians and the Ukrainians. He's God of everyone. Okay, but he chose us to be the examples. Okay, and um, he does reign over all the earth, absolutely. But we are the examples of what he expects, right? Um, so when so I apologize, I lost my train of thought for a minute. Um, the what Hashem is wanting us to see, okay, is that um, what I meant. Okay, so somebody asked a great rabbi. I don't remember the exact quote. I'll try to summarize it. Is there's some people asking, it's the age old question: why does bad stuff happen to good people? We don't know the grand scheme of what's going on in the universe. The sages say that there's 196,000 other worlds that Hashem is like taking care of, similar to ours, But that's another midrash. We can get all into all this stuff. If you have a kind of a time where you're finding Torah dry, you can find these, things. As long as you don't spend too much time and that's all you're about, hey, give yourself a chance to go off and look at some interesting stuff that might interest you. But anyways, I don't want to go down that that rabbit trail. But uh, Hashem is basically saying, look, he gives every single person, even the most disgusting Rasha in the world, he gave breath in the morning, hoping that this person did teshuvah. Now, it took us almost 40 years to get to this place where uh, that Hashem brought the serpents, right? He brought the serpents in right after we were like, we cursed him. We said, we don't want this bread that you provide for us every day. Not only do you give us breath, but you protect us from the elements, right? It says in the midrash that the pillar of cloud and the fire made it where it was controlled. Right? The climate didn't get too hot, it didn't get too cold, they didn't get sunburned. It protected their clothing, so they were completely taken care of. And as Hashem was like, okay, I'm taking your training wheels off, they were saying, look, this is this is about to get real. You're going to be responsible for yourselves. They're like, hold on a second. Hey, we don't want to be on our own. We don't, and it's the same problem we had in Egypt. And Hashem was like, okay, look, and the people finally got to a place. Okay, it's us. It's us. We are the problem. We ask you to forgive us. Please make a way. And Hashem instructed Moshe, very strange thing, to build what later would become an idol, this bronze serpent. It was very similar to what Hashem did with the red heifer, right? It was almost like a kosher version. It was a kosher version of the golden calf, right? So we've got something special about cattle. You can see this in the discussion, and I'm sorry if I'm going a little bit too long-winded, trying to wrap this up, is in the in the story of Jonah, right? Hashem is explicit in saying, and the cattle or the people, a lot of people, and the cattle too, right? So we have something as a people. It maybe not today, but something along the way. There was something about cattle. There's something about calves and cattle, and we held them up, right? And so it was like a very important thing. And I've heard that it was almost like a monetary thing. It was a status symbol. Okay, and so Hashem is like, okay, I'm going to take this great symbol of yours, burn it down, and it's going to be a place of a cleansing, almost taking a place of the golden calf and saying, now this is a kadosh, a set apart version. So he brought this bronze serpent, okay? And the bronze serpent, to me, and through some other commentaries that I've read, it kind of points to our people, and people in general need something to look to, okay? This happens over and over and over in the history of our country, in the history of our people, okay? Right after Moshe is removed, the people are like, what do? They fall into error, and Hashem raises up Joshua, Yehoshua. And then Yehoshua dies, and people are like, well, forget it. And then the people go to each judge, a great judge, and then it descends all the way down until we get to Shmuel, right? The last judge before we get to King Saul. Anyways, people need others to look to. And our sages say that in every generation, it may not be the same level, right? Now we have great tzaddiks that we can look to. I believe the Nazarene Yeshua was a great tzaddik we can look to. Rabbi Nachman, Schneerson. I'm not as far as he's not my Rebbe, but I'm just saying there's people that hold him in great high regard. Rabbi Nachman's teachings, the Baal Shem Tov, these people that their teachings still exist, that you can grab knowledge from the Torah from them. These are people that we could look to and aspire to be like, right? But Rabbi Nachman's teaching, look, there's a tzaddik in every generation. So what if, this is just saying, what if you, people listening here, all of us collectively, or you individually, are that bronze serpent, right? What if you're the person to say, okay, we're all doing our own thing, but hey, this person over here, they're living different. Maybe I should live like this person. And Hashem, I think, calls us all to do that. He all calls us to do mitzvot, to be separate everywhere we go, in every nation that we try to escape to and try to find refuge. We sustain ourselves by our culture. I'm talking about our Jewish brothers and sisters, Israel as a people. And those cultures say, look, I understand you've got your culture, you don't mesh with us. Everything we do is on Shabbat or on a Jewish holiday. This is really not the place for you, right? So our place is Israel. Our place is eventually the land of Israel when it's opened up. But it's basically that we are a people that Hashem has called. We are all called to do the mitzvot and to sustain the nations that we're in, and to sustain our people. Then I believe Hashem is saying that we should strive to do the mitzvot, to be the best Jew that you can be, or the Jewess that you can be. That may not be perfect, as none of us are perfect, but let us press on to the mark of the high calling. Shabbat Shalom.